This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
We have one more act for you this evening. I don't even need to say his name. Mr. Bob Dylan.
A Complete Unknown is now a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominee for Best Picture.
Bobby, what do you want to be?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
Timothée Chalamet astonishes as Bob Dylan in one of the best performances of the year.
Through the bumps of dime in your prime.
And critics rave Edward Norton is absolutely fantastic.
70,000 people are here, and Bobby is the reason for it.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my life.
Don't miss the movie critics are hailing 5 stars.
To the onion.
It's pure cinematic magic.
Turn it down!
Play it loud.
And named to AFI and the National Board of Review's top 10 films of the year.
Make some noise, BD. Track some mud on the carpet.
A Complete Unknown. Now playing only in theaters. Rated R. Under 17 and admitted without parent.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
Designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
Windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Every Christmas season, people make fun of the absurd level of schmaltz dumped onto television by the good people at Hallmark. But anyone who complains needs to be brought back in time to 1978, when Santa cramped out the biggest coal ever to fill a stocking. If you already have a bad feeling about this, so do we. Because we're about to try to prove to you that the Star Wars Holiday Special is not that bad. Welcome, one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades and B movies, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners around the world, because you know what? It is Christmas. It's Christmas time here at It's Not That Bad. So we want to say hello to all of our listeners wherever you are listening. Happy holidays wherever you are, to however you celebrate. We're about to crap all over it because we're about to talk about the Star Wars Holiday Special. And here, contractually obligated to appear on this show, is my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I mean, I can't say this is going to become a staple in our household and we're going to watch it every year. But you know, I loves me a Christmas movie.
Yeah, okay. The records show, however, that by Christmas movie... Yes, you Scrooged. It is a take on the Christmas Carol, but it's Scrooged. You know, around here, Christmas is like Violent Night and The Ref and all things blood, guts, and tinsel. But it's one of those things where here we have the thing that should not be, the Star Wars Holiday Special. So when I said to you that this year we were going to go down this road, did you instantly think about hitching a ride with Santa's sleigh and getting the heck back up to the North Pole?
I was going to take the Starship Cruiser.
Yeah, and that's nowhere to be found now, is it? Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. Oh, charged way too much. Had it been cheaper, I would have loved to have gone, but we didn't. We didn't go, and now we can't. But we can enjoy our own little intergalactic trip with the Star Wars Holiday Special, a made-for-TV craptacular that aired in 1978, literally around the world. It is a thing that, and I need to put this quote out there, because George Lucas himself at an Australian convention once said, "If I had the time and a sledgehammer, I would track down every bootleg copy of that program and smash it. That from the mind that created Star Wars. Oh dear God, what have we gotten ourselves into? I am very curious to hear some of your takes on this. But before we go down this road, it is time, a festive time, but it is time for perhaps the most poetic trailerize of all time. It is time to take the Star Wars Holiday Special and trailerize it.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the evil Grinches at CBS were about to mess up your day. For on TV screens far and wide, a special was about to air. One that would take all that you love and treat it most unfair. Star Wars was coming to TV. Hooray! Everyone shouted with glee. But what aired that night in 1978 was something they couldn't unsee. There was Luke and Leia, Han and Chewie, and the droids all made the trip. But how much money had to be paid to get Jefferson's starship? B. Arthur was tending bar, Art Carney was his usual self. If this is what passes for Star Wars, this season, I'd rather watch Elf. But the stars of the show, for some absurd reason, were three Wookiees living in a tree. With their growls and groans and no subtitles, out of my ears, my brain did bleed. Bad songs, bad script, and a very weak plot could not save our holiday delight from languishing in the annals of the worst TV genre type. The variety in this show was surely lacking. Barely watchable, yes indeed. It was the only time children would say, "Early bedtime, I beg you, I plead." So now, here we are in 2024 with a Herculean task to watch the Star Wars Holiday Special, and a question we will ask. Is there anything in this hour and a half that will not make us mad? Is this another dump in the bad movie toilet bowl? Or is it really not that bad?
I freaking love that. I think that should be the narrative that plays kind of almost like a disclaimer.
I feel like this should be like movie. This should be like that yellow movie scroll that comes up before every Star Wars movie. Yeah. Like, honestly, Hallmark, you're welcome to this poem, but I want money. I just want money. I just want, oh my God, that was so much fun to write. And I'm surprised you held it together as much as you did. There were moments. Yeah. There were moments. Oh my God, that was fun.
Now hold on. You should have read that in Wookiee.
Oh my God. Did you want a 2-minute trailerize of
Well, I mean, it's better than, what was it, 9.5 minutes?
It would have been on brand. It would have definitely been on brand for this. Oh my God. For the record, I'm going to try to not talk Shriwook much, which, if you've seen the Star Wars Holiday Special, you know that I'm saving you.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud.
Help!
Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
But let's get into who is in this film. The movie stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, the voice of James Earl Jones, B. Arthur, Art Carney, Diane Carroll, Harvey Korman, Jefferson Starship, Mickey Morton, Patty Maloney, and Paul Gale. And of course, there is an almost starring in this one. David Akumba, who was, for at least for a few days, the director of this, recommended that Robin Williams be a part of the Star Wars holiday special, and the producers said no. The what?
Yeah, big mistake. Big,
right?
Huge mistake.
Now, I get this is shortly after his stint on Happy Days as Mork, but this was pre-Mork and Mindy, so at this point, Robin Williams hadn't really blown up, but it's freaking Robin Williams. That would have made this alone at least, memorable. In the role of Murmia, and I can't believe I have to say this, the VR porn girl in this, Cher was offered the role of Murmia, but she smartly turned it down. And at one point, the producers were hoping to get Raquel Welch into this, that according to one version of an early script. This is directed by Steve Binder and David Akumba. David Akumba was the director for a few sections of it and then left the production, leaving Steve Binder to finish the production. And it aired November 17th, 1978. So technically speaking, it's not a Christmas special, because it aired around American Thanksgiving. However, when it aired in Sweden, the title was slightly different than the Star Wars Holiday Special. Translated from Swedish, it literally read as Star Wars and Peace. And this felt pretty damn long while we were watching it, so that kind of makes sense. This special is listed as number 1 in the book of What Were They Thinking? The 100 Dumbest Events in Television History.
That's harsh.
It is harsh.
You know what? I think it was completely in line with the times. I mean, I remember growing up watching, and I'm not knocking any of these classic shows, but
you had Battle of the Network Stars that was on around that time.
Well, you had Dave and Schuster.
Yeah.
And
Wayne and Schuster.
Wayne and Schuster. Sorry, Wayne and Schuster.
It was Super Dave and
Dave.
Wayne and Schuster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But around that time.
Yeah, it was variety TV specials. That was what was out there. Yeah. There was a cartoon in this special known as The Faithful Wookiee. And it is the first ever introduction of Boba Fett. The role of Boba Fett was actually voiced by Don Franks, Canadian Don Franks. This is actually important when it comes to Star Wars culture, but let me give you a little background here. So Don Franks also appeared in the movie Johnny Mnemonic and also did voice work in the cartoon movies Heavy Metal and Rock and Roll, and he also did voiceover work for the Police Academy animated series, and he was the voice of Sabretooth, Puck, and others in the X-Men animated series in the 90s. But more importantly, he is the father of Rainbow Sun Franks, who's an actor, and Cree Summer, who of course has an extensive filmography. But speaking of Star Wars specifically, Cree Summer voiced Marla Jannara in Star Wars The Young Jedi Adventures, Hylo Vis in the Star Wars The Old Republic video game, Kinesa in Star Wars Ewoks, Princess Garen in Star Wars Droids, and Luminara Unduli in the 2003 Star Wars The Clone Wars series. So actually carrying on the Star Wars tradition that her father started. Jefferson Starship appears in this special, performing a song called Light the Sky on Fire. So I had to look this up. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be an exact count, but over at setlist.fm, apparently Jefferson Starship played this song 29 times only live. Now, obviously, that's not going to be a complete list because setlist.fm didn't exist in the 70s and 80s, but it's listed, and there are concerts from that time listed. But yeah, Light the Sky on Fire, according to setlists.fm, only played 29 times. The special, and remember, this is 1978. The special cost over $1 million to make for TV for an hour and a half of quote unquote the dumbest ideas ever put to television. But the reason why we are here, not just because it's the holidays, it's Christmas, and we like to dump a big lump of coal for you here, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, the tomatometer and the popcorn meter are both sitting at 25%. At IMDb, it sits at 2.2. At Letterboxd, it has 1.4 stars for a 28% score. And at the movie database, they're a little more generous with 33%, giving this an aggregate of 26.6%. So now that you've watched this, and we're about to get into this, 26.6%, are we on target here or are we way missing the mark?
You know what? I mean, obviously this has gone down in history as the most notably hated product of Lucasfilms. Like, so
it's interesting.
It's interesting because it's like it's on point, but I watched it, obviously many, many, many years later, but I didn't hate on it. I don't understand the hate. Maybe you can help me understand.
See, here's the thing, is that it's not necessarily that people hate it. Lucas hates it to the point of he has encouraged everyone to not talk about it. And the thing is, it isn't like it had a real release. This was never put to DVD. It is almost completely ignored by Disney Plus. And apparently there was a stretch where like they were showing this at like midnight showings at review theaters until Disney put the kibosh on people showing it at review theaters.
Wow. Next up is the cease and desist from Lucas himself.
Right. Well, no, now it's Disney, right? But the thing is, there is a snippet of this on Disney Plus, and that's the animated cartoon, The Faithful Wookiee. Because that, universally, it seems, has been the one thing that they're like, you know what? This whole thing is definitely not Star Wars, but the Faithful Wookiee, that's pretty faithful to canon. Like, despite what you might think about the animation, by the way, it was done by a Canadian company, Nelvana, but the story is actually pretty damn good and still accepted and is available on Disney Plus. The rest of the Star Wars Holiday Special, you got to find it. And that's the thing. For the longest stretch of time, this was only available like as a bootleg. Like this was passed around like a porno at like grade 9 playgrounds. Like, oh, you're never gonna believe what they did in this magazine here. You got to watch this. And then they'll look at it and they'll pass it. Like this got passed around more than a joint at a party because it was so shunned and never put into production that it was like copies of copies of copies kind of thing.
Now I can only hope that it actually came with said joint or mushrooms or something. Something, because there are a lot of flashy colors and you know what? I thought that was very true to the era. You know, like the song.
Yeah.
The singer with all the colored lights and
call her what she is, the VR porn girl.
Oh, no, I don't think that's fair at all. I think she was, a manifestation.
No. Mitzi Hunter, one of the creators of this, had actually said that entire segment was to be about a softcore porn that could get past the censors. That is a direct quote from her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, VR porn girl, go on.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was more intrigued by the dissolve, the camera shots, the constant movement, so you don't quite know where to look. And there were times where I was like, I am way too sober for this, because I'm just like, the shot keeps moving. And
yeah. If you feel like you're tripping balls while you're watching that whole scene, you're probably tripping balls. But let's get to the breakdown of this. We're going to start with arguably the 3 stars of this film. Mickey Morton, who played Mala, Patty Maloney, who played Lumpy, and Paul Gale, who played Itchy. We're talking about Chewbacca's family. Your thoughts on the Wookiees?
Aw, well, I love that the Wookiees win here. Like, I mean, you think about it, right? The Ewoks, they got their show. They had their time in the spotlight. So let the Wookiees win.
The unblinking murder bears, yes.
You know what? I think I would have liked to have seen more Chewie. But I mean, I get that the whole concept was, as it goes, they get more and more concerned. Like, where is he? Why is he not there? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know what? I think it was kind of cool to see, like, the family that's waiting at home for Chewie while he's out defending the galaxy.
He was trying to make it back for Life Day.
Right.
Trying to make it back for Life Day. I need to point out that Mickey Morton, who was Mala in this, also appeared in another very iconic TV variety show that I remember. Played Solomon Grundy in the live action 2-episode Legends of the Superheroes. If you have ever seen Legends of the Superheroes, and I remember when it was on TV, I distinctly remember Hawkman getting stuck in a bunch of tires. I remember this ingrained in my memory, like some weird acid flashback core memory. But I remember Legends of the Superheroes. So Mickey Morton was involved in that. I need to give them credit, though. Like, joke about it all you want. Like, they speak nothing but Shriwook. It's all Wookiee talk from them. But yet, at no point are you ever watching their performances and going, what the hell are they saying? Their miming ability in these costumes is enough that you can sit there and you can reasonably understand what they're implying by what they're growling.
I wonder if there was actually a script.
I'm very curious about that. Or
if it's improv.
Can you just imagine holding down G and R and that's your script and then they have to go with it? I'm sure their script was probably a lot of more just stage direction than it was. But really, you think about it, it's a lot of, for lack of a better term, a lot of good mime work that goes on with those 3.
But you know what? I mean, to talk about the emotion that was, I mean, obviously, this poor Wookiee mom and wife just wanted her husband to come home.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she has a lot to take care of. The kid that's kind of causing trouble and walking along the balcony.
Yeah. That Wookiee needs Ritalin.
And she's trying to make a lovely dinner. Mash, stir.
No. Stir, whip, whip, stir, beat.
Right. And you know what?
Right now, anyone who's seen the Star Wars Holiday Special is having straight up PTSD from that.
and again, the emotion of like, she has to hold it together, right? Like, for the kid, for, making sure that everything is perfect for when Chewie does get home. And yet in the back of her mind, she's probably really worried.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not like she can call him. She's calling everybody else, and everybody else is like, "Ooh, he's not there yet." Ooh.
Yeah, well, clearly the Millennium Falcon
fine.
didn't have a long distance plan, so. But I mean, it's one of those things where if you could understand what a character is meaning without hearing the words that they're saying, then the body language they're conveying in a full body Wookiee suit, no less, it speaks to the performance of the three people in the suit.
She must have been really tall.
So I looked it up. Mickey Morton was actually 6'7", while Patty Maloney, who played Lumpy, was 3'11". So that's the kind of the size range that you're looking at between Mala and Lumpy. Mickey Morton was the perfect person to play Mala. And I need to give credit too. The Wookiee costumes now, admittedly, they've already perfected this with Chewie, but the Wookiee costumes, like this didn't feel like a bad Spirit Halloween kind of knockoff. This was like pristine Wookiee costuming. Like they looked like they could have been in one of the movies.
Everything from the grandpa's
his angry jaw,
jaw, like you could almost tell that, you know, he was aged. He's an aged Wookiee, and you know, maybe has like false teeth or something. Like I don't know. It was very well done.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the dental plan is on Kashyyyk.
I don't know.
I don't think the Rebels had a healthcare benefit. I don't know. Art Carney, who played Sondan, your thoughts on him?
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I have always got a kick out of him from The Honeymooners.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I realized, because I mean, obviously, you know, he's a little bit older. I thought maybe he would have been taller, but he seemed quite, that's why I was asking about the height of the Wookiee suit, because he seemed almost dwarfed by them. Like,
well, by Mala especially, yes.
Yeah. But you know what? Oh my gosh, I get such a kick out of him. He was wonderful in this. He was so much fun. And I love that he almost kind of had that like swagger with the Imperial Guard and the Stormtrooper, you know, and that whole thing about his ID, and he was just kind of like commanding the whole scene. Like,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
First of all, I mean, we need to point out that Art Carney, aside from being on The Honeymooners, we're talking an Academy Award winner and an Emmy winner, and he was actually nominated at one point for a Tony. So, like, he was halfway to the EGOT. Art Carney is definitely an acting talent for sure. And the thing is, even though some of the shtick is like straight Ed Norton out of The Honeymooners, the character of Sondan, let me kind of put this in perspective. Like, we have someone who's like an operative of the rebellion, you know, clearly enough undercover that he can work under the nose of the Imperials without everything. Like, the character makes sense in the world of Star Wars at that time, because I think that's the biggest thing, right? People look at this and go, well, that's not Star Wars. Well, yeah, it kind of is, actually. At least as far as like a character like Sondan goes. And I need to point this out. Obviously, it took a bit for people to kind of work the holiday special into canon. But I mean, Mala and Itchy and Lumpy have all been featured in various pieces of canon, or, you know, Legends, former canon, like being in some of the books. Sondan, the character, was actually brought back into the Star Wars Galaxies and Empire Divided game. So the character clearly makes sense to Star Wars. And Art Carney, you're right, does play it very well, and does play it in a way that kind of does feel like it would fit in a made-for-kids on network television version of Star Wars. Because this is 1978, and everything was watered the down, let me tell you. This isn't HBO Star Wars here. It's not happening like that. Art Carney, as much as you sit there and say, oh, good, Ed Norton's in Star Wars. No. Art Carney is bringing to life a character who's a little bit goofy and a little bit fun, but definitely in control of the situation and almost playing the fool in front of the Empire in order to be able to get the Imperials to not suspect him for being a rebel sympathizer.
And there's the difference that Art Carney would be the fool to the Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
However, no, he was more like, I kind of picture him like a casino dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, almost like in the National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation.
Oh, you're going there, aren't you?
Almost kind of like, you know, don't know the name of the actor, but almost kind of like the blackjack dealer that kept reeling in Chevy Chase and just kept almost like a super smart and suave con man. And
Right.
that's how he played it. And it was very cool.
I think it's one of those things too, where you do have those kind of characters that are able to, for lack of a better term, bring a little bit of levity to a scene, because that's key, right? If you don't have that breather, if you will, then things get a little too serious, and you don't want that. I mean, even if you take a look at The Mandalorian, right? Amy Sedaris, who plays that mechanic on Mos Eisley, is that kind of comedic character, you know, have a little bit of a breather, loves Grogu, all good, but still knows exactly what they're doing. We know exactly why they're there, and the character makes sense. Art Carney is that. Son Dan is that character. Since I mentioned Mos Eisley, let's go to the bar, shall we? And talk about B. Arthur, who played Akmina, the bartender. Was she golden in this for you?
Oh, she was perfect. Absolutely. I got such a kick out of her. I think she's a fantastic actress and a pretty darn good singer.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, this was like, you know, that classic Hollywood era. Like, you had to be multi-talented. You had to be able to sing and act and do all that kind of stuff. And B. Arthur was definitely that. My issue is not with B. Arthur. It's not. First of all, this song goes on way too long. Just one more verse, friend, and another chorus, friend.
Well, she had to address everybody in the bar.
That's a lot of people in the damn bar.
Right?
Right? That clearly she was having affairs with, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's that whole scene, I get they use that scene as a way to kind of show that the Imperials are basically putting a curfew on everything and everyone's got to leave the bar. And she's kicking everyone out like they just got shut down forever. Like, this scene itself makes or adds nothing to the actual story of Chewbacca trying to come home for Life Day, but is easily fixed with one thing. Let me red string theory this here for you, okay? The whole bar scene starts with Krellman the Volcano Head trying to hit on Akmina. Why? Who is he? I don't care. But if you had this thing where the Imperials actually showed up at the bar, saying that the Millennium Falcon had been sighted and had she seen Han Solo and Chewbacca, then we know that Chewbacca is close to going home. Then she can do her damn song.
Like if they were searching the bar for them.
Yeah, just don't have to search the bar. Just come in, say, you know, we've had sightings of a YT Corellian cruiser. Have you seen, you know, these people? And just show a freaking picture of Harrison Ford and Chewbacca. And then they leave, and then B. Arthur's got to close everything down and get everyone out and sing her song. And no, we get freaking Volcano Head Creepy Boy, and that's how we get into the scene.
Wouldn't it make more sense instead of sending everybody home if they actually did more like a lockdown instead of having everybody flee the bar, and then you have more ships in the sky, right?
I mean,
Wouldn't they be like trying to lessen?
This thing already cost $1 million to make. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think literally all you had to do is have like an Imperial trooper and a stormtrooper or two come in, talk to B. Arthur. She knows nothing about them, and then, you know, they don't believe her, so they kick everyone out to punish her, so she doesn't make any more money, and she's got to like that would at least give us a reason to be at the bar, because otherwise we have no reason to be at the bar except for B. Arthur to sing.
She wasn't making a dime that night.
No.
She was drinks on me. Like, that's not how you make any money there. I'm not telling you how to run your bar, but you might want to charge someone for a drink.
Yeah. B. Arthur is the best singing yet worst business-minded bartender to ever hit Kashyyyk. And that's like, it's not even Mos Eisley, because this apparently is supposed to be on Kashyyyk. So it's not Mos Eisley. But why do they make it look like Mos? Why do we have every single same costume from Mos Eisley in this rando bar in Kashyyyk? It does not make, the scene doesn't make sense. B. Arthur's fine in it. I have no problem with her in it. The scene is extraneous. It's another reason to have a song.
I'm going to argue. I think, though, it was a nice break from all the Wookiee.
From the treehouse?
I think they needed to take a visual break, and this is exactly what it was.
I don't disagree with that. Just have the scene start, at least tying it in somehow. And all you had to do was start the bar, and the Imperials are already there with the stormtroopers, and they're asking about Han Solo and Chewbacca. They shut the bar down. They leave. She sings her song, and then we can go back. I agree that a breather from the treehouse is a good thing, but or at least there was a way to get around this, and we'll talk about this right now since we're in the bar. Okay, the band Jefferson Starship. I understand you want to put this into the Star Wars world. But yet when we're at the bar, we have, and I'm not even kidding you with this name, Figure and Dan and the Modal Nodes. That was the name of the band that was in the Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars. Figure and Dan and the Modal Nodes. They play jizz music. That's the music that they play. It's known as jizz music. JIZZ. Figure and Dan and the Modal Nodes are cranking out jizz all over Mos Eisley Cantina. You're about to break, aren't you?
I don't know if it's appropriate to laugh.
But here's the thing. By putting the Modal Nodes in this bar, you almost inevitably tie it to Mos Eisley, right? And I'm sure Figure and Dan, the Modal Nodes, they're a big enough jizz band. They'll bring their jizz to all corners of the galaxy.
I was going to say, they can tour.
They can tour. Who doesn't want a little bit of jizz in their neighborhood, right? But yeah, I went there. But why not freaking put Jefferson Starship on that stage and you do that scene in there?
Because then they wouldn't have the music video break.
Yeah, but
that seemed a bit long. Like, is the song really that long?
The song is really that long. Yeah. So this is where I'm like, and I have nothing wrong with the song itself. I mean, it's typical 70s rock, right? It was okay. I mean, the graphics during it were kind of cool for 1978 television, but it was okay. It wasn't jizz music. We already mentioned him once already. Harvey Korman, who played Krellman, the volcano head, Chef Gourmanda, and the Amorphian instructor. So yeah, he did 3 different sketches in this special. Okay, this is where our stir, whip, stir beat comes from. Let's talk about the 3 different characters. I already kind of got in on Krellman, the creepy stalker volcano head boy, but your thoughts on that character?
I thought he was fun. I didn't realize it was the same actor.
Same actor.
Very well done.
Yes. Also, better for the budget, I guess.
I guess so.
Right. With the Amorphian instructor. So this is like the instruction video that Lumpy was watching in order to try to figure out how to work his little device. That was boring. That part was boring. But is it bad? I kind of got a kick out of Chef Gourmanda.
Oh, so did I.
Like, it's straight up a rip on Julia Childs. But I mean, as far as the main story goes, and this, I think this is where a lot of the issues with this Star Wars holiday special, besides the fact that it's going to make you feel like you're tripping balls, is that there's so much that happens in this that adds nothing at all to the plot of the story. But with the Chef Gourmand thing, we have Mala trying to make the dinner and trying to follow the recipe. It's like literally, someone cooking at home watching a YouTube video way before YouTube existed. But we have Chef Gourmand. Stir, whip, whip, stir, beat.
You know what? To me, it had a feel of almost like a Saturday Night Live sketch turned into a movie.
Yeah.
Where you almost have, like, as you mentioned, so many different elements going on at the same time. Or, well, why are we here now in this bar? How is it related? But it's almost like a sub-story in the bigger picture. Or like, hey, this is also happening at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's maybe the best way to put this, is that a lot of this special feels like a bunch of almost interconnected or loosely interconnected in some cases Saturday Night Live sketches that revolves around a central story plot. And I think if you look at this special in that sense, like the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is very much a story all the way through, with a couple of musical performances from the old 97s and one with Kevin Bacon. Here, it's more like a central story that has these little offshoot side quest kind of sketches that kind of go along with it, partly for a breather, partly because it's 70s television. But yeah, Saturday Night Live was kind of like that same way.
Well, it was almost like, and then they threw in the animated short as well. Right? So it's almost like, I know when Saturday Night Live...
Oh, TV Funhouse.
Yeah, same thing, right?
Yeah, with sketches like the ambiguously gay duo. Like, that kind of worked because it was a little cartoon break, and that's okay. Like, even you go back to, like, I think it was the Electric Company. They used to have, like, Spider-Man sections of that. Yeah, I pulled out the Electric Company on my ass here. Diane Carroll, who played Murmia, the VR porn girl. This is the only way I can describe this. Your thoughts on her, and more importantly, that entire scene.
I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, okay, so it's, a nice little, almost like a nice little fantasy manifestation for Grandpa. Never, when I watched it upon first pass, did I think that this was like meant to be softcore porn. And I feel kind of like, is this appropriate for Grandpa to watch porn
in the middle of the living room?
The living room on Life Day. Maybe some traditions in Wookiee lore are open to that. I don't know. Like, it just seemed wildly inappropriate now that I look back.
Okay, but if Grandpa starts popping a Furby in the middle of the living room, then we got a problem here. I just wonder if Murmia was singing jizz music, because I'm sure Itchy was. But I mean, here's the thing: they didn't even like beat around the bush with this. Like, you got Art Carney going, "I'm gonna say it's a wow." Like, you know exactly what you're doing with this. Like, and it's a happy Life Day. Like, okay, Grandpa's gonna need a moment alone there in the middle of the living room. The cone is on his head. Just back away when the fur starts to fly.
I have nothing to say. I'm horrified.
Right now, people are listening to this going, this aired in 1978 on on freaking CBS. They preempted The Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman for a Wookiee watching VR porn.
So that was a real, actual, Like, I thought that was maybe just an opening to the movie.
They preempted The Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman for Wookiee language.
Was this then live studio audience?
No.
Pre-recorded.
They filmed it, but it was just one of the things where, like, instead of this, this week you're going to get to watch this. Remember, this is a time before On Demand when we actually had to sit down at a predetermined schedule to watch the shows that we liked. Oh, you whippersnappers have got it easy these days. The Wazen Troupe. So this is that little supposedly holographic gymnastics presentation.
I freaking loved this. I thought that was, again, it was like a visual escape, and you're almost kind of like, where the is this coming from, and where is this going? But why is this here? But it's fascinating and so cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this kind of takes its cue from the like the chess game that they played in the Millennium Falcon, and it's supposed to be this holographic table. And keeping in mind that this is for network television, so they're not dealing with, you know, Industrial Light and Magic is not working wonders for this CBS holiday special here. So this is very much very green screen, but it was shot in a way that made you believe that Lumpy was watching this little holographic gymnastics presentation right in front of him.
But it was very much the forerunner to, I mean, let's be honest, like in Orlando where they have like holographs.
Yeah.
Holographic characters everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's how it is. Like, so it was almost kind of like, at that point, it had to have been the forerunner of that whole concept.
In 1978 television, this is actually really well shot and really well presented. And it makes sense because this is something that Lumpy gets to watch, and it's you know, it's like watching television for a kid, right? Like this is, you know, sits down at the table and watches these little holographic performers, and I thought it was, I mean, was the music a little annoying, but it kind of made sense as to what was happening. But I was fine with this. It made sense. This was a variety type performance that fit in what was going on. This was a decent breather because we, at this point, we haven't left the treehouse, right? But Lumpy allows us this ability to see this performance and get to see something different. And the fact that they're in red and green is kind of Christmassy a little bit, maybe in hindsight. But I didn't hate it. I thought it was kind of cool.
Streaming now on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back.
That's hot. Loves it.
For a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special. Streaming now, only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
The Faithful Wookiee, the cartoon that was in this. Your thoughts?
Again, I loved it. It was like this little interstitial almost, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the most Star Wars part of the whole thing. Like, I've read the Star Wars from a certain point of view short stories. And if you take a look at the Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi short series on Disney Plus, The Faithful Wookiee kind of feels like it's right in that pocket, right? It's a good little short story, animated very much in the 1978 time, but that's also the animation that led to Nelvana working on the droids in the Ewoks cartoon series from the 80s. It's one of those things where there's a reason why this is actually available to be watched on Disney Plus. It's a good Star Wars story. It's good.
But what the hell did they do with Han's face?
I'm pretty sure the animators hated Harrison Ford at this point.
The characters looked nothing like they were supposed to.
Harrison Ford, Han Solo in this cartoon, looked like he was one of the spitting image puppets.
It was almost kind of like as if they were trying to animate Dennis Leary.
It's like Dennis Leary and Gilbert Gottfried had a baby and it was Han Solo animated in The Faithful Wookiee. Harrison Ford, contractually obligated to be here, returning as Han Solo. Your thoughts?
I love it. You know what? Like, he just seemed like he was having so much fun with it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he really?
You know what? I mean,
he didn't want to be there.
I know, but he likes the character.
He tried to get out of Star Wars like the rest of Star Wars after this.
What the hell are they making me do?
He may as well have been like, kill me now. Here's the thing. Han Solo and Chewbacca, even when they're in this little cheap version of the Millennium Falcon, those scenes work well enough. And I think, Harrison Ford's in it in an appropriately little bit of amount of time that it's not too much of a burden on him, but
he's supposed to be a gruff kind of character anyway, so it
gruff
worked.
Or grumpy.
Yes, both.
I mean,
he can be both.
Yeah, the script wasn't working for him too much. Like, again, the early scenes where they're trying to escape the Empire and get Chewie back for Life Day, that part is great. That's all good.
You know what, though? At the end, where he was like, Life Day is all about family and love. That was sweet.
Meanwhile, he stares longingly at Mala.
Yeah.
Like a little too long.
There was something there.
Like, that's the look of, don't tell Chewie about what we did last night. It's... No. Oh, dear God. No. Chewie owes Han the life debt. So it's almost like one of those things where it's that long look of, it's basically the long look of, I'm sorry it took so long, but I promised you I'd bring him home and I will always bring him home. That kind of look. Until people start to read the Star Wars Legends books and realize Chewbacca dies in one of them.
Oh, that's it. You just ruined Christmas.
They're no longer canon.
Oh.
If you haven't, they've been out there for decades. If you haven't read it by now, you're missing out.
Long live Chewie.
Right? Mark Hamill returning, contractually obligated as Luke Skywalker. Your thoughts?
Well, he was great. I love how he was trying to, be the calm for Mala. He's like, I'm sure they'll come home.
Okay, first of all, if anyone ever says, come on, give me a smile, while someone's worried about their returning husband, they are getting straight up Wookiee slapped. That's how it boils down. Also, did someone shoot Mark Hamill in the face with the makeup shotgun? Because he was caked with it. Like, it looked bad. I mean, that scene with R2-D2, it's fine, but it almost felt like, and hear me out, there's this scene where like Han and Chewie are kind of like yelling at each other to try and get the Millennium Falcon to work before they try to escape Hoth on The Empire Strikes Back. That scene kind of feels also played out here with Mark Hamill and R2-D2 instead. I mean, it's a short little scene. It's contractually obligated Mark Hamill, but it's okay. It's not horrible. It's almost like they had this mandatory quota to get the original cast in, but only so much. Like, they don't want to be here, so let's only put them in a little bit. Carrie Fisher, once again, as Princess Leia. Your thoughts?
Oh, love her.
I think of the three, she's the one that didn't mind being here the most. Like, she actually brought that Princess Leia charm with her again, and I didn't realize Carrie Fisher had a good singing voice. Like, that's, we talked about B. Arthur's voice. Carrie Fisher had a lovely voice in this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a very Princess Leia moment kind of thing, but it's one of those things where if the original cast wasn't in this, then most people would be like, no, this isn't Star Wars, right? The fact that the original cast is in this at the same time as they're getting ready to make The Empire Strikes Back, hot on the heels of the galactic success of A New Hope. That's, I think, the biggest thing about this holiday special is that everyone's there. Whether they want to be or not, everyone is there. And the Star Wars properties are there, and the music is there, and the characters are there.
Oh, but it's Christmas, and the action figures are not there.
It's Life Day.
Okay.
It's Life Day. It's not Christmas.
No, but my point is that in 1978, any parents ordering or pre-ordering the Star Wars toys for the Christmas delivery are not going to get their
we had to wait for Kenner to get together.
Yeah.
I want to read a couple of comments here, a couple of quotes, a couple of critic reviews here. And once I get through, there's only 4 of them. All right, but I'm going to get your response to the general tenor of some of these, okay? Nathan Rabin from the AV Club wrote, I'm not convinced the special wasn't ultimately written and directed by a sentient bag of cocaine. David Hofstad called it the worst 2 hours of television ever. Alan French said, you will curse God for this show's mere existence. And Mark Beale said, it makes us smile, but only because we are laughing at the utter horror. We laugh to avoid the pain.
Oh my God. Now, first of all, factually incorrect. It was an hour 31.
With commercials, though.
Okay. Why they gotta hate? Are these critics of the time, like critics in the 70s?
Well, no. The AV Club didn't exist in 1978, so this is all in retrospect.
Okay. Well, like, I think, as I had mentioned, of the live studio audience or the there's a genre for it. Help me out. Like the
variety special.
Variety specials of the 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think this was completely on point. And as I paralleled with, early Saturday Night Live. I mean, Saturday Night Live has been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
So it had to have had its start somewhat similar.
Yeah. I mean, you take a look at things like the Donnie and Marie show that was on around that time.
Yes.
And there were other shows out there that were just basically performance. So Wayne and Schuster, as you mentioned, like that was a comedic variety show.
Even the Gong Show, even though I know it was a little bit
that was more of a game show.
But however, but they had, I'm sure, different elements to that show. And that's exactly what you got here.
The Gong Show would basically be known as America's Got No Talent these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. There's almost this kind of superiority factor when it comes to, I think, to some of these critics, in that this is easy to make fun of. It is, but it's one of those things where just because you can make fun of it, try to put yourself in the perspective of a kid.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I am fortunately too young, I'm proud to say, to have watched this when it was on TV in 1978. Okay? So I saw it like last week. All right, for the first time ever. I've never seen it before. But you know what? I take myself back to being a young kid, and I remember watching The Honeymooners, after coming home from school.
Yay, syndication.
Right? But you know what? Like, I think of the time, it really wasn't that bad. I think it was actually, like all the elements were there, whether the hardcore Star Wars fans, want to absolutely forget it, or whether they want to kind of almost, I don't know, like make it like, I don't know, put it up on a pedestal, right? Like it's kind of like the holy grail of the badness of the time of the movies. I enjoyed it. And you know what? I think if there's a bandwagon of hate that's being spewed towards it, I don't get it. I think if you just look at it like it's a Wookiee story and it has the Star Wars characters, and it's not Star Wars, but
I mean, it's Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars.
It's a standalone. And I think it's absolutely fine for what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those little almost skits or like little short movies that's done, in the spirit of kind of thing. Maybe with some side characters and whatnot, but very much in the spirit of things. I want to quote one of my favorite sci-fi authors of all time, Douglas Adams. At least paraphrase it, if you will. This episode, this holiday special, is mostly harmless. That's pretty much what it boils down to. It's mostly harmless, right? It is silly and goofy and fun, and there's a little bit of a what the factor in it. But I mean, it's unintentionally camp. It doesn't shy away from what it knows exactly what it is. Should it ever be looked at as canon? No. But if you're looking at the Star Wars holiday special as something to move the Star Wars plot forward, you're looking in the wrong. It's, again, I want to bring up the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. No one is looking at that special as something that is moving the multiversal saga forward. It's not. It is a fun half hour, 40 minutes, whatever it is, of just silly, Marvel-based, holiday-themed fun with the catchiest Christmas song ever.
Well, I think it also, I just watched this last night, and it kind of has that spirit of giving. Yeah. For them to go and kidnap Kevin Bacon to give him as a gift, like it, again, and I really think that the Life Day and the Wookiee celebration really hits home because it's like, it's family.
Yeah.
In the end, you're waiting for Chewie to get home, to return. And we don't know how long he's been gone, do we? Like, we just know he's been away for a while.
In canon lore, this apparently happens like shortly after the medal ceremony at the end of A New Hope. And then Han Solo is trying to get Chewie back for Life Day after that. So it's one of those things where you can kind of place it in the universe. Because keep in mind, too, there's this big stretch between the end of A New Hope and the beginning of Empire Strikes Back where a lot has happened. The Empire is, starting to take over the galaxy even more. They're hunting down the rebels. The rebels have relocated to Hoth. There's a lot that goes from here we are on Yavin 4 celebrating our victory and our destruction of the Death Star, and then we come back to the rebels and we're stuck on a frozen planet because we're on the run from the Empire. A lot that happens in there, and this kind of makes sense shortly after the Yavin 4 victory celebration. And I just realized I went total Star Wars geek there, so I apologize to some and I tip my hat to others. But it's one of those things where it's not canon, but it's definitely of the world. And retroactively, you can see how people in, I guess what is now Lucasfilm, or at least what Lucasfilm has become within Disney, like the fact that the Mandalorian uses that two-pronged weapon that is straight out of the cartoon, and Jon Favreau even acknowledges that it's straight out of that cartoon from the holiday special. It's one of those things where it's like it was panned for so long, but now the people who kind of grew up and still kind of love it are reclaiming it and slowly but surely reintegrating it back into the world. Critics be damned. It may become one of those things that becomes critic proof. It's kind of like The Room, right? There's no way in the hell that The Room is a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it became one of those things that was passed around and watched so many times that it became almost like a bonding thing. Like, okay, we're gonna watch the holiday special tonight, and we're gonna see if we can get through it. And you have some laughs, and you have a couple of drinks, and you joke about some of the things that happen, and it becomes kind of a bonding thing. Like, and that's at the end of the day, if you can sit there and say, yeah, I watched the holiday special with some friends and we had a good chuckle, you're not necessarily laughing at it anymore. You're laughing because of it, and you're having a good time with it. But now I come to you with one question, and one question only. Who is your MVP of the Star Wars holiday special?
Ooh, I completely forgot about this question, and it's kind of broadsiding me.
Wait, we've been around for 3 years,
I know.
And you forgot that I was going to ask you about the MVP.
Well, it's because I was so excited about all of the characters. I'm blindsided by having to pick one. I'm going to go with Chewbacca's son.
Lumpy.
I thought, he was trouble. He was he was a Wookiee on speed. Like he was constantly, I think, first of all, he was incredibly clever because he was trying to get that computer thing up and running. So that way he could outsmart the stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Oh, he was great.
Lumpy as played by Patty Maloney. I'm going to go a different direction here. I'm going to go actually with Art Carney as my MVP.
Of course, he was wonderful.
Right. As Saldan, he actually brought a character that you could sit there and reasonably pinpoint him into the Star Wars universe, and it would kind of make sense in a way. Carrie, thank you so much for this. I can't believe I got you to sit down and watch the Star Wars holiday special. And to you, our listeners, first of all, happy holidays. However you're celebrating, happy holidays. Thank you for spending another holiday season with us as we get close to the end of 2024. Thank you, one and all. But until next time, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is just so bad that there is no way in a galaxy far, far away that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadCast or go to our website at NotThatBadCast.com and be sure to subscribe to the website so you know when we put new posts up. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Beat. Take care.